on the channel, we got a controversial top 5. I don't know if I really wanted to do this video, but here we are. We're going to do it. We're going to talk about the top 5 things that needs fixed for the WWE Mattel lines.
And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another edition of the Kyle Peterson Top 5. In today's video, we got something extra special right here, as in this Top 5, we're doing a little bit of a negative video, and I hate to be negative on this channel. If you guys watch my videos, the only time I'm really negative is when something breaks, and I think I have an issue for that, obviously. I have a reason to be negative, but most of the time, 99.9% of these videos, they're positive because action figures for me, it's about fun. This is a fun hobby outside of the day job to take me out of the real world. I don't want to be into action figures for gloom and doom. You don't see clickbaity videos on my channel saying, is this the worst action figure of all time? Is this stuff like that? I understand people doing that. It's about views. It's about making money off your videos. I could easily do that just like everybody else, but I just don't like that. I just don't want to live in that negative space, and I don't want to have negative things, bait and switch videos. Whatever the reason is, it's positive. Toys should be fun. Action figures should be fun. It should be a release from the real world, and that's what it is for me. Maybe it is for you as well, but there's a lot of negative things. There's a lot of negative stuff in the community, and it is unfortunate because I think if everybody takes that step back, maybe not a business step back, but a step back, you got into action figures for fun, not to complain, not to be negative, and people do like to complain. We do see it. You see negative videos. Perfect example, Julia Hart. Of course, she broke on the channel for me. I put up the mad face because I was infuriated by that. How many video views does that one get? If it would have just been my normal smiling face, what would I have got for views? So there's definitely a method to the madness. I understand it all. But once again, I like to be positive. So this video is a little bit of a left turn here. It's going to be negative, yes, but it's going to be explained. It's not negativity for negative sake. I've talked about this video for a long time, and a lot of you guys, and maybe 1 or 2 gals out there, say, Kyle, you got to do that video. You got to do that video. So I'm going to do it. I don't know. I'm going to do it. Well, that's what I do know. I'm going to do it here. But I will say it's nothing like I'm after Mattel and I'm going to fire Mattel and I'm going to be out there with a pitchfork. At the end of the day, it's their company. They're going to do what they want to do. They got to have their investors. They got to keep them happy. They got to move things around. A lot of talking, chirping right now, moving factories from China to Vietnam. I don't care what business you're in. Whenever you change factories, there's some growing pains. There's some learnings going on. We're going to talk about that in this video here, but we're going to do the top 5. And of course, we're going to start at number 5, work our way to number 1, like we do all these other top 5 lists, if anybody was wondering. And number 5 will be, one thing that needs to be fixed for Mattel, where number 1 is the biggest issue to me right now. You may have a totally different list. Maybe you don't have a list at all. Not exactly sure. But as I said, and I'm going to say it repeatedly, I like to keep things positive, but these things need to be called out. I don't think Mattel, anything on this video, it's not going to be news to Mattel. It's not going to be news to Robert and Steve and Bill and those guys. They're one of us. They want perfect stuff. They're after it. It's just getting that vision there takes some time. I totally understand that. I know some people are saying it's been 14 years, it should be fixed. Well, not all these issues are of the last 14 years. In all honesty, outside of a few things here and there, these issues have just came over the last year. And I don't know if that is because of cost cutting, the factory changes, what it may be, but we're going to dive into it. We're even going to talk about distribution. I'm sick about talking about it. I've talked about it a lot lately, but we're going to talk about it again in this very video. So enough jibber jabber out of me. It's time to kick off this top 5. Let's kick off number 5. All right, we start the countdown, of course, at number 5, and the number 5 thing that really infuriates me with Mattel. We may do a Jazzwares one of these. I don't know if we want to or not. We'll see. I might do that on the channel as well. Got to give it both sides. I think everybody knows a lot of my issues with that one, just like you know Mattel, but we're going to do it. We're going to start at number 5. But number 5 is an issue that has really plagued WWE Mattel, and it has also plagued AEW Jazzwares. I'll say Jazzwares had the worst of it. But what are we talking about? it is the staining of action figures. And I gotta call it out, Mattel has been pretty clean as far as staining for action figures. The last one that was really, really bad had to go all the way back to that SummerSlam ravishing Rick Rude. Oh, Rudegate went crazy, of course. But we've had a lot of staining over the years from Mattel, and that's just the soft goods bleeding into the plastic. And once that happens, there's really no recovery. You can spend all this money on creams and stuff. It isn't worth it at the end of the day. And for me, I don't try not to get too worked up about it because it's stained. It is what it is. And most of the time, if they have a soft goods robe or something, it's staying on the figure. But that being said, it shouldn't be staining our figures. We shouldn't have ruined figures out of the package. We all work too hard for our money. I don't care what you do in life. I think you'll say, hey, I work too hard for my money. I want perfect figures out of the box. And there's always going to be trouble, but staining is something that has plagued the Mattel line for many years. But once again, that's why it's number 5. It seemingly, fingers crossed, has been cleaned up the last couple of years. But I got a perfect example. We'll have some examples along the way in this video here. How about a Cody Rhodes Elite from years ago, of course, at this point. Just unboxed the greatest hits version of this one, but he is stained all over his forearms, his biceps, his shoulders, from the soft goods coat he came with. So obviously this is pretty much garbage at this point. Unless you're like me, I'm going to keep that jacket on him so he doesn't have to be there, and that's what I'm going to do. And of course somebody's going to say in the comments, well, if you wash the clothes, you do this. Yes, that does work. I've heard people leave the clothes in vinegar and then wash them. I've heard them put them in the delicates thing, throw them in your laundry. You can do all that kind of stuff, but guess what? You shouldn't have to. And the average Joe, the average kid out there, they don't know that kind of stuff. It should be clean and stain-free out of the package, and a lot of times these figures are stained out of the package right away. Yes, sometimes it happens a year down the line, whatever it may be, but more times than not, it's stained from the get-go, so you're already behind the 8 ball there. So it is very frustrating. It honestly does ruin a figure. If I wanted to have Cody like this, I really couldn't. It's ruined. So very, very frustrating, but getting better from Mattel. Staining coming in at number 5. Next up, we're at the number 4 frustrating Mattel action figure problems that's plaguing the industry right now. I don't know if we'll go that far, but we're at number 4 right now. And number 4 for me seems to be another recent issue. Going back to the beginning of this video, a lot of this stuff seems to be happening recently. And as we always say here on the channel, constant learning, constant improvement. And we always say be positive before negative. That's a good thing in your daily life. Let me tell you, as far as comments, if you give me a positive, then a negative, guess what? I'm more apt to take you seriously, but there's so many people that say negative, negative, negative without anything ever positive. It's just like, this guy's just probably a troll. This guy doesn't even watch the videos. He's only negative. So you got to remember that too. So it's all about the message, not just in these kind of videos, but your message in your everyday life. So another life tip from Uncle Kyle. That's what we're going to call that. But number 4, like I said, a recent problem we've had lately, it is the bobblehead on action figures, Mattel Elite figures, and it is some of the giraffe necks. We've been getting that as well. So start with giraffe necks. How about Ultimate Warrior? Unfortunately, an amazing Ultimate Warrior just recently released here, part of the Monday Night Wars. He's got the longest neck known to man, and what that is needs to have a little bit more Dremeled in the head so it slides down a little bit farther. We also saw that part of the Survivor Series with Butch. That's another recent example. There's been a few more, but those two stand out right at the top of my head right away. This can be fixed. You're probably saying, Kyle, get the Dremel out. You can do that. But once again, just like staining, we shouldn't have to do that. We shouldn't. This should be corrected. This should be something they catch at the factory, quality control issues. And it seems to be a more recent thing as of late, once again, with maybe, and I don't know if that's the case, but the change from China to Vietnam. It is what it is, but it's not is what it is as far as us spending our money getting these figures, hoping for perfection, hoping for these to look really nice. And I get it, nothing's perfect. There's always going to be issues. But this giraffe neck, very, very annoying, and does make some of these characters look absolutely absurd, especially this Ultimate Warrior, which breaks my heart. You know I'm a warrior, but you take this jacket off of here, the duster off, it looks even worse. So it is very, very frustrating. Hopefully this gets fixed sooner rather than later by Mattel. But the other issue is the bobblehead, and I've seen that a lot in Elites. We've seen it in Ultimates, and it's just the head is just a bobblehead. It's just way too loose on here. It doesn't fit as snug as we'd want it to, and the head just kind of goes like this all the time when you move them around. Now, not the hugest deal to me. That's why we're at number 4 right here, because guess what? I'm displaying these guys right here, but if you're a kid playing, you don't want your figure going around with its head all the time. It's just not what you want. So it is very frustrating. So they have some issues with the necks and the holes in the head and the tightness of it as well going on right now for Mattel. So very, very frustrating for me and other collectors as well, I'd imagine. and so frustrating, in fact, it came in at number 4. It's the number 3 spot, the middle of the road spot in the countdown here. You got your list together, put it in the comments down below. But we're at the number 3 most frustrating thing with the WWE Mattel lines right now. And I guarantee you guys and you gals out there that this will be the number 1 spot for many, many people. And I think that comes down to a lot of people not understanding the total business of how it all works. And understandably, you shouldn't have to. You don't care about that kind of stuff. And I get it. But I come from a world of this, and you could be selling hammers, you could be selling clothes, you could be selling food, you could be selling WWE figures. It all relates and it all goes to business about the same way, especially when you're dealing with Walmarts and Targets. What am I talking about? Number 3, it is the distribution issues. There is distribution issues all over the place. I hear about it every single day ad nauseum, and I'm really honestly almost sick of talking about it, as I've given my perspective as someone that has sat in the office in Minnesota and Bentonville, Arkansas, talking with buyers for Target and Walmarts. I understand what they want. I understand how they go to market, and I understand a lot of people don't understand that or even want to understand it. I get it. People just want to go to the store, whatever they're looking for, they want to pick it up off the shelf and buy it. It's not that hard. However, there's a lot more. Nothing is that easy, especially at Walmart and also at Target, Amazon, other places like that. And me as a collector, as a person that loves the thrill of the hunt, I would honestly hate to go to the store every single time and find what I want. Those misses equal when you find something, make it so much sweeter. At least it does for me, but I get it. Everybody's different. A lot of people want to go to the store and pick up stuff. Now, it's always, how come Target's so good? How come Walmart's so good? Well, how come your job's so good and your competitor sucks, or vice versa? It's the same kind of thing. And let's be honest, put that business hat on. Take that step back. Walmart, Target, whatever, toys isn't what runs that show there. There's so many other things that make them more profit that are more important to them than toys. Toys are there, and we see toy aisles shrinking down all the time. Walmart's recently went for resets. In many of my stores, the toy aisles shrunk down because guess what? They're not as profitable as they once were. If they were the most profitable thing in the store and they sold the most, guess what? They'd have more space. That's just the way it goes at the end of the day on anything in the stores there. Now everybody says Target's got their pre-orders figured out. I get my pre-orders sometimes before even the stores have the street date. And that is absolutely awesome. But you got to remember, pre-orders, everybody feels that pre-orders, if I pre-order something, I should be first to get that. Well, what if there's 5,000 people that pre-ordered ahead of you? How are you first? And then you got distribution centers all over the place with shipping. So you got to take that step back once again on pre-orders. Pre-orders at the end of the day in all mediums, it's just saying you're going to get that figure. It doesn't say you're going to be first to get it, second, or 100th. It means you're going to get that figure. But we've seen it from Target and more so Walmart. Orders are canceled. But I hear a lot of times people got their orders canceled from these places. A lot of time is their card wasn't on file, or there was not enough money, or it changed. Something changed. It's not always on Walmart and Target. So you got to be honest with yourself on that. But yes, there is times things do get canceled. But guess what? That happens in everything in a store, as we do know. But distribution is tough. And a lot of people are saying, why can't I get it from Walmart especially? Well, guess what? These Walmart exclusives, any exclusive in anything in the industry, is to drive consumer traffic to the store. Walmart gets an exclusive in anything, and we'll use toys in this example, but it could be Martha Stewart something or another. Guess why that's there? It is to differentiate themselves from Target. I have the Martha Stewart stuff. I have the Monday Night War stuff. Target does not have that. So it's going to force people to come into my stores that maybe don't come into my stores very often. Now, Target, for the most part, you can get all your Legends figures, things like that. If you're patient, really that first week, you got enough Targets, you can hit them, you can get them offline, you can get them. That's how Target goes to business. It is good, it is bad, there's good and bad for everything. And I'm talking business hat here. I got that hat firmly on. Walmart, a little bit different. You pre-order, sometimes it lingers for 6 months. Mankind Eddie Guerrero Ultimates, perfect example. They've been in the stores for 3 months now. Your mileage may vary as always, but pre-orders still not being filled. Well, a lot of it goes to where it is coming from, distribution warehouse. Just because they're coming online, it might be out of an Arizona warehouse. You live in Arizona, it's coming to you. You live in Fargo, North Dakota, they don't have them at that warehouse yet. You're not going to get yours. So once again, your mileage may vary there. But going back to what I was saying about driving consumer traffic, Walmart and Target are definitely different, and we've seen that in our action figures. But Walmart, think of this. How many times do you go to the Walmart, you're looking for Monday Night Wars Ultimate Warrior, for instance. You go to 5 Walmarts that day. You get skunked out of there. How many times in that 5 times did you pick up something? Did you grab a candy bar on the way out? Oh, I need milk for the kids. I need bread, something like that. If you bought anything that time, guess what? Walmart won. They drove you to come into their store. You bought something, and guess what? You're going to come back tomorrow, look for that Ultimate Warrior. Maybe you'll bid a monster tomorrow. Maybe you'll get some baby food or some diapers or some paper towels. They keep winning. I don't say Walmart's doing this on purpose. Walmart definitely different than Target. But they keep coming into the store, you keep coming in, you keep buying little things here and there, and then finally you get what you want, and then it starts again with the Superstars line or a different line, whatever it may be. So Walmart is winning in this. They're driving people through the door, you're getting impulse purchases, and then eventually you're getting what you want via online or whatever. So Walmart is winning. So I don't know if that is their tactic on purpose, but it is definitely a thing they're using, and I see that in other things in the stores as well, especially in the grocery industry for a time or two on some of the exclusive items. So you got to remember that, and they're driving you in there multiple times to pick up other stuff. So Walmart has it figured out, and Walmart, they aren't where they are for just dumb luck. They are very, very smart. I remember when I used to deal with Walmart, they had 90 days to pay. They had 90 days to pay. They paid at 11:59 p.m. automatically, of course, through their computers. They got every penny they could of interest out of us in those 90 days. Walmart's loaded. They could pay that $500 bill or whatever it is immediately, but they get all the savings from sitting on that capital that whole time. It's no different than anything else. Walmart knows what it's doing at the end of the day. And Walmart, do they care about the toys? Yes, but do they care as much as other stuff? No, once again. And what ends up happening too a lot of times with Walmart is their figures come in and it goes to distribution centers. And that's the difference here. If you go to Mattel, it goes straight from Mattel to you via Mattel Creations. Walmart, it has to be shipped from Mattel to a Walmart distribution center or all the different centers. Or Walmart comes to Mattel, picks up everything, then spider webs it out to the distribution centers. There's extra traffic there. Where a guy like Paul Martin was like, how does he get those Monday Night Wars? He gets them the same time as Walmart. He doesn't have 10,000 distribution centers. He has one. He takes it there. He starts sending the orders out. Where Walmart, they pick it up. They got to travel and split it all up, spend it to all these distribution centers, get it into inventory, and then it goes from there. So there's a lot more steps. That's what delays the Walmart compared to Paul Mart. So just a little bit of how the sausage is made as far as that one goes. But Walmart, of course, going to all these distribution centers, you never know what you're going to get at your stores. You never know how often they're going to fill, what they care, what their triggers on their inventory system is. There's a lot that goes into it, and I feel like I'm just rambling. I probably am a little bit here. But a roundabout workaround about this, and I'm not sure why Mattel doesn't do it. I'm sure they got their own reasons. Maybe they could tell one of these days in their Q&As. But we do see Hasbro. Of course, Mattel and Hasbro, that's pretty much the Coke and Pepsi of toys. At least it is to me. Hasbro gets a Walmart or a Target exclusive. They also sell it on Hasbro Pulse. Mattel has Mattel Creations. Why do they not do the same thing? Even if it is later on down the line, they can say, okay, Monday Night Wars, first to market for Walmart for 6 months. After that 6 months, we're going to sell the Monday Night Wars. But that does go back to, in this day and age with Facebook groups and everything else, people want things immediately. That's probably the problem. I'm no different. I want these figures right away. I'm hot on the hunt. I'm excited for it. You can't get it always right away. If you're patient, you can get it for cost or cost plus shipping. Everything wrestling related. I haven't seen anything that hasn't went that way. Obviously, chases are different in the AEW line, things like that. But if you're patient enough, you'll be able to get what you want eventually. Look at Monday Night Wars Series 1. You can get those very cheap, but everybody was after those big time when that first happened. But back to the original thing. Why can't Mattel Creations do that? Do they have some kind of agreement with Walmart or Target that Hasbro doesn't have? Could that change in the future? I'm not exactly sure, but we are seeing that already a little bit here with Amazon and the Coliseum collection. After this next round, we got Ted DiBiase and Ricky Steamboat coming to Mattel Creations here very soon. Maybe by the time you watch it, it's already been there. After that, they're splitting it up between Amazon and Mattel Creations. Could we see that with stuff in the future? Maybe they'll use Ringside Collectibles. That would be another way to do these things. But it is a very interesting, it is very, very complex, and I feel a lot of people just get very passionate, which we all appreciate passion, but you also got to take that business step back on this kind of stuff. Nothing is perfect. Obviously, a lot of people enjoy Walmart or enjoy Target more than Walmart. I totally get it. I'm in the same boat. But it is what it is. It's been this way for a long time. And it's funny, if you go back to the pre-COVID days, there wasn't really a hard time finding stuff. Things were flooded on the shelves. So it's been very interesting the last 5 to 10 years in action figures in general, really in stores in general. Kmart's have closed, places have closed down. the ever-changing landscape right here. So that's my long-winded, I didn't even cover all my points, just went off the top of my head. But number 3 is definitely distribution. I'm not putting it at number 1, but like I said, a lot of you out there, I'm sure, putting that at number 1. But hopefully I explained a little bit of how that sausage is made, maybe just a little bit, and that's why it's number 3. Bring on number 2. All right, we're at the number 2 spot on what grinds my gears with Mattel WWE right now. We've talked about a lot of good points. Now this one, I don't hear chirped about too much, but boy, it does drive me a little bit crazy. What are we talking about at number 2? We're talking about loose hands. Yes, loose hands on these Elite figures. Of course, a game changer by Mattel to make the hands interchangeable. We all love that. Gives so much extra personality and dimension to the figures. I hope they never go away from it. It is absolutely a slam dunk. But I don't know about you guys and you gals if you're having the same issue as I am, but the hands out of the package when they're on the figure, very nice and tight, very sturdy, back and forth, side to side, all that kind of stuff. However, you pull it out to put a fisted hand in here, for example, then on, the hand is very loose, and they just kind of spin in here. They're very loose. They move around. They're not as tight as they were out of the package, of course. Now, I guess there could be some looseness with playing. I'm not playing with my figures. I've seen some worse than others. A lot of the Ultimates seem to be really bad as well, that the handle just spin right there in the socket. So, once again, could be a new factory issue with that movement to Vietnam, but they really need to find a way to tighten up those wrists and those hands and the interchangeability. Nobody wants hands just flipping around, especially if you got fists, you have them like this, and then it's all the way around like this. Looks unnatural, looks strange. It is a gripe I'm having. It has been very frustrating as of late, but I've seen it in almost every single Elite figure. When you pop the hand out, the other ones just don't go in as tight, and hopefully that gets fixed. Hopefully that gets changed. That's my number 2 gripe right now, which means there can only be one, like a young Highlander. What is my number 1 Mattel WWE gripe? Stay tuned. Here we are, we're at the number 1 spot, my number 1 issue with the WWE Mattel Elite line right now. And like I said, I hope nobody takes this as just overly negative. Hopefully it's constructive criticism. I love these figures more than almost anybody, probably. I have a lot of figures in my collection. I enjoy action figures, but we want them to be as good as possible. And we want to have constant learning, constant improvement. And I have to say, I don't think I said at the beginning, we're truly living in a Renaissance era. We're truly living in the golden age of action figures here. Obviously, the 80s were a lot of fun. They were totally fun. That was my generation. But what we get right now from all the different toy companies, all the different properties out there, it's just like a dream of Kyle in the 1980s when I was a kid. And a lot of toy lines, it's like what I had to imagine I was playing with, I'm actually getting in action figures. So we're having an amazing run right now. Mattel is at the top of the game, and let's be honest, Mattel is the greatest toy line as far as wrestling goes. I love Hasbro. I love LJN. I love Classic Superstars. I love everything. And some are better than others, as usual, but Mattel has been going for the longest. We've got the biggest variety of figures of all time. Say what you want about their articulation things, especially comparing to an LJN or a Hasbro or a Jakks. They are just truly changing the business every single day. Sometimes for good, sometimes for bad, like anything else, but we are living in the golden era right now. So we got to stop and smell the roses, as Ringo Starr told me way back in his album in like 1983 or something like that. I don't know, but shout out to Ringo Starr, of course. But what is my number 1 issue with WWE Mattel? This, once again, goes back to these issues I feel that are probably from the China to Vietnam factories. I'm not sure, but that's the only thing I can figure it out. And I've had this in many, many figures that we've reviewed on the channel the last quarter, maybe at least 3 months or so. I'm hoping this is on Mattel's radar. I'm hoping this is getting fixed very, very soon. What am I talking about? It is the tightness in the legs into the hips. It is absolutely annoying. It is giving the Mattel line an action feature that I didn't know we were going to have. It almost feels like the Hasbro days where you'd have a punch or a slam or something like that with the interior of the figure having an action position. Not the case for Mattel Elite. It's not supposed to be, but you take Miz, for example, you lift that leg up, bounces right back. It's like a rubber band leg. That should not happen. That should stay right up there. It is extremely, extremely tight where the hips and the legs meet. You can barely move these guys around. A lot of times it seems to be the right leg. I've seen the left leg, but the right leg seemingly more often. It stops us from being able to do the splits. It's really stopping us from doing articulation. I feel bad for those toy photographers out there that need somebody to do the big boot as that leg just bounces right back on you. It's obviously fixable. They did it for many years without this issue, but it is something that has really creeped up the last couple of months. I hope it's on their radar, as well as the bobblehead, the giraffe necks, the hands, and of course the staining. Always got to have that in the back of the mind. We just got to remember that kind of stuff. If you're Mattel, you're looking at stuff. And I don't know. I've never been in a Mattel factory. I've never seen it. But I've been in a lot of factories where they test the stuff off the line repeatedly throughout the day. They give it the QC check and make sure everything is good. Everything is where it needs to be. I don't know if that's going on at Mattel, because I don't know anybody on a line that could be happy with that. I don't know anybody that could be happy with a big bobblehead going on a figure. Like we got with the Miz right here. He's bobbling all over. Somebody's got to do the quality assurance. Somebody has to do that. And I'm hopeful that Mattel is working this out with their factories as we speak right now, I am sure. But that's it. That's my top 5. I probably could have done a top 10 list, but I want to keep it at 5. And like I said, I try not to be too negative on this channel, and I hope this doesn't come out as somebody just negative for the sake of being negative. But a lot of you guys and gals asked me to do this video, and I said, you know what? I'm a man of the people. I'm going to do this video here. So it is what it is. Whether or not anything changes out of this, I don't think so. I know some people have said, Kyle, you got the power to move mountains at Mattel. Come on. I don't have that power. Trust me. Trust me. I don't think anybody in YouTube has that power traditionally, but it is what it is, and I can tell you the Mattel team, they're close to the action. They love action figures. They love this stuff. You know they're doing the best they possibly can for the brand. Say what you want. There's always going to be constant learning, constant improvement. There's always things every company wants to change, but they got budgets they got to work in. They got to do all that kind of stuff. But a lot of the stuff here that we're talking about, I do think they can get fixed, and I do think they will get fixed. So that's it. I'm off my soapbox. I'm done. You guys in the comments, put down your top 5 things you'd like to see fixed from WWE Mattel, and put it in order, as I always do say. Of course, subscribe to this channel. You know we got videos every single day. Subscribe to the other YouTube channel. We got videos every single day. They all funnel to the Patreon, your best way to support this YouTube channel and all the content. ProWrestlingTees.com, search Kyle Peterson. Don't forget my book, The Complete Guide to the WWE Jakks Class Superstar Series, now available on Kindle. And hit me up, follow along on social media, SirPaul64 on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, and on Instagram. So for another top 5, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.